Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through those fears and live an awesome life. All right, so we have a person who wrote in about this is a real big one, because this video has to do with other people. All right, so I'll give you an example. We have a lot of people complaining about work and the negative frequency at work. Well, hello, the whole damn planet's that way, right? You can control that. In fact, you control everything. Why? We control how we process things, how we feel and think. And when these situations present themselves, ask yourself, I do this in my e-course. If you guys see, I'm gonna really promote this, because I spent a year creating this e-course. If you guys are interested, you can go into my free email where it explains what it is. You can go check it out. I take you through the entire process of asking yourself exactly what's happening in these situations that bother you. And every single time it has to do with you feel threatened and you do not feel that you have the power. Because if you did, you could control your feelings and how you view it. You would separate yourself from the negativity and know that we're all one energy, and that's all you're feeling is that energy. And that can be very powerful, believe me. It can really challenge you, but it's challenging you. It's not that fault or whatever. We're on freaking planet Earth. Hello, you agreed to come down here. What did you expect? Probably not this, right? I know none of us expected it to be this bad. I could have a sip of coffee because it's really early here. All right, so now we're here, so, we have to deal with it. So the bottom line is, all right, so at work, when you don't resonate on that frequency and you're not participating in it, you won't be around them anymore. They probably won't even talk around you. They're going to feel real uncomfortable, because you're not responding. And you'll find other things to do so that you're not around it. And that's going to be a message to them, not in a judgmental way. Be careful how you do that, because you don't want them to, you're so good, you're so pious. No, just, remove yourself. Oh, there's something I need to do. And they're going to start to get it, that they're either, speaking negatively around you is not welcome, or they won't get it. And you have to remove yourself. What if I can't remove myself? You can always remove yourself. You can always remove yourself. At work, yeah. If you're in a meeting or whatever, there's always a way to not participate in that. Always. Believe me, I worked on Wall Street and on, all kinds of deals with some people that really tested me. So I want you to just understand that there is always a way in, no matter what situation, because whatever's going on in here is you. It's you. Nobody else. No one makes you think or feel another way. The minute somebody emails me, they, or I'm with this, and then all I hear is them. What about you? What are you doing with that situation? Because that's your challenge. There you go. Congratulations. This is what you need to break through. The universe just gave you exactly what was required for you to break through the barrier of your negative behavior or your lower frequency. Why am I behaving that way? What am I thinking that would put me in a negative space? There's a part of me that's connecting to that negativity. Why is it bothering me? Why is it bothering you? Talk to the hand. Somebody said they didn't know what that meant. The hand is like, don't talk to me, blah, 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 blah. You're blocking it. So that's always your option. When you internalize this stuff, that's your ego, thinking and analyzing it and whatever. It's their words, blah, 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 blah. I just sit there and go, the comments come over, and I actually think it's funny. Because it's like somebody, over in the corner with, in a clown outfit going, and I'm like, whoa, woo, gone cray-cray here. You know, see, and I get those sometimes. And then they're like, oh, Landria, you're so great. And then you're blah, blah. And I think there's something going on in their head, their little private room in there that's insanity. And it has nothing to do with you. It never has anything to do with you. You're either just a target for them or, you know, an audience for them or whatever. It's all going on in their head. Now let's go over to things like the barking dog next door, my friend, has a shepherd who barks when their friends walk to the car. Big whoop. All right, well, you know that. But what's happening is the shepherd's barking at night when the person's asleep and waking them up. I'm surprised that you're waking up because after a while, aren't you used to it? So there's a couple ways to deal with this. First of all, we're never going to get away from, probably in our lifetimes, the irritants of the planet. There's going to be some things that we just don't like, that it's tough to be around that energy. I want you to think about this. First of all, the dog is just protecting his property. So that's not a negative thing. The second thing is, the neighbor, you know, I mean, they have a dog. What are they going to do? The dog barks. Trust me, I had a Jack Russell. He wouldn't shut up. But I'm going to tell you something. I loved that little dog. I never stopped him from barking because if I was doing something and I heard that dog barking, I knew that he saw something outside, and a couple of times it was a really good thing. I can remember somebody was on my property looking around at stuff, and that dog was barking, and I thought, my little alarm system. So for me it was great, and I loved the dog. Now, my neighbors had dogs too, so I know they didn't care. But I just have to ask you this, is like, what part of that is bothering you? Okay, something wakes you up. Now, I have trains. I love trains. So I hear them. I don't even hear them anymore. When I was in my other house, we had lawn equipment that was so, I would have to stop shooting because they'd get their blowers out and they'd get like 3 of them. And then get another lawn guy group going out, and this was like several times a week. So I went, that's just part of my neighborhood. And you know, the other thing is I'll just take a break and go have a cup of coffee or water or whatever, or, you know, edit a video. And so I worked with it. Did I love the sound of loud machinery several times a week? No, but I lived in an affluent neighborhood where people hire people to do their lawns. I think I was one of the few people that did my own lawn because I love working outside. And even I hired people a couple of times when it was 90 degrees out. I looked at that, it's part of the experience of where I lived. And I loved where I lived. So that was sort of just, it came with the turf. So I never it never like, oh, there they are again. Sometimes I go, oh, you know, and I'd shut it off. But I didn't internalize that. It was just sort of a thought that went by. It's like, oh, here we go, the noisy blowers again. Oh, well, that's, you know, what's new? So ask yourself, okay, you have the dog. It's irritating. The dog wakes you up. Couple ways to handle this. First of all, do you just not love where you're living? And then, you know, part of that is their dogs bark and stuff happens, you know, trains go by, and I'm in the city. I mean, I'm really in the city. I moved from the outskirts of the city in downtown. I mean, I'm in it. And so it's very noisy here compared to where I was living. Very noisy. I signed up for that. I signed up for it, and noises that I didn't expect. And now I think of this as part of my experience. It's part of where I am because I love where I am, and everything about it is amazing. So I attach those sounds to this experience as something positive. So if you're not loving where you're living and that dog's barking, you might be saying, well, this isn't a good experience because I'm not really loving where I am anyways. My neighbor where I lived had a barking dog. Big bark. she was the cutest dog. I used to babysit her. I was like, drop the dog off here. I work out of my home, and I'd have them drop her off because I loved dogs. And I'd babysit her and take her for walks, and she would go over there and bark, 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 bark. They have a baby now, barking. She's protecting her turf, and I love the dog, so I don't think about that. And sometimes bark, 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 it's like, okay. And then I allow myself to tune it out. And when you're focusing on it, and you've already got it, this is an irritant, then your focus is really magnifying it. And that's quantum physics, right? The dog barking, I hate the dog barking. It wakes me up. So you have to ask yourself, what are your options? Can you go talk to the neighbor and say, hey, I know the dog barks, but at night, is there any way that you could not have the dog bark? The answer's going to be no. The dog barks. The dog's protecting. So if the dog's outside barking, it probably sees something. Right? Is that a bad thing? Yeah, it wakes you up. You know what? Life is going to throw you some things. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of people that would love a home and would put up with a barking dog any day. Now, I know that doesn't help you at all. But the bottom line is, ask yourself if your experience is a positive one, and that if these irritants of life can be tolerated, and somehow, at some point when you let it go, it's no big deal. And then later on you go, that dog doesn't really bark much anymore. I just didn't even think about it. Can you do that? This is a big challenge, because we're going to be on this planet till the day we die with stuff that's going to be really challenging. That doesn't go away. Even going up to the fourth and fifth dimension, we've still got residual stuff showing up. Change and all these things. I just did a video on change. So I know that seems beyond your control, but it really isn't. Everything that you believe, think, and feel is always in your control. How are you viewing it? How are you processing that information? And what are the actions that you're taking? So in my e-course, I have the 3 F's. Feelings, focus, and forward motion. All right? How are you feeling about that? Because you have to, if you don't have those feelings in check, nothing else is going to work after that. Nothing. So you have to work on that and ask yourself, how you can change it. What is it you really want? If you live in a place where there's something going on that's really, it's just not acceptable, then maybe it's time to move. And you might say, well, I shouldn't have to move because my neighbor's dog. No, you don't have to. But you're going to always have something or somebody out there that's going to do something you don't like. And you could go to a new home and you could have a neighbor that does lawn equipment like every day, really loud and annoying, or, throws parties, or any number of things. That is planet Earth. It's not going to go away. So ask yourself if you can tolerate the things that go on around you and what you need to do to change certain things that you're not willing to tolerate. Right? Even work. If you're in a really negative atmosphere and there's a lot of negativity there, do you really want to stay in that job? Sometimes you have to remove yourself. And other times ask yourself if maybe you're not the problem, because you're believing the stuff, because you're listening to it and you're allowing it to get to you, and that is a positive practice for you. So I hope this is helpful. I know, people want better answers, like I should do this or that, and the bottom line is we are on a challenging planet that will always have these things that come to us that allow us to evolve. And everything that you feel and think is going on in here, and you're in complete control of that. And that's where the meditation and elevating your frequency, you can walk in. Eckhart Tolle said this. I've experienced this many, many times. You could walk in the busiest, loudest, most annoying city. I remember he was in downtown New York, and have absolute total bliss. Total bliss. Nothing could possibly shake you. Nothing anybody could say or do could possibly shake you. You're in that space of bliss. You're connected to here. So this is just sort of like a movie you're watching. It doesn't have an effect on you. I hope this was helpful. And if you have questions, please put them in the comments. I'll shoot videos and answer your questions. When you guys start to blame other people, I'm just going to give you email answers like, do you really believe your own crap? And also the other one is, all I can hear in your email is them, 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 them. They are you. And the more you do that, the more you're going to get challenged so that you get it. All right? What you resist persists. It is absolutely true because you're focusing on it. You're focusing on the thing you don't like. Boom, it's right there, right there, right there, right there. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my friend. Namaste.